Hey there, Duke fans. Welcome to episode number 816 of the Duke Basketball Roundup. This is the episode that you have been waiting for. If you have been following us all season, it is the recap of the stats game. And you're not going to hear much from me. You're going to hear much from some of our guests here. I'm Donald Wine. I'm your host for the next 35 seconds of this episode. I have Jason Evans with me. Jason, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, if for some reason, just the nature of people's feeds, they don't get the DBR bites that we did on Friday, like if this one supplants it in your feed, go back and listen to that episode. Lots of talk about roster construction, who may be back, who might not be back. Lots of talk about future Blue Devils playing on the high school all-star circuit and all kinds of other goodies. So yeah, make sure you listen to both episodes.
Yeah, and since we recorded that, just right after we recorded that, Cam Boozer was named AP National Player of the Year, so congratulations to him. I'm sure we'll hear his name more throughout this weekend. Scott Rich is also with us. Scott, how you doing this morning?
I think we're all still in our relative morning recovery process. Mine has been unique, being on stores. Luckily, my colleagues aren't crazy basketball fans, but they know enough to know I was suffering, which was weirdly worse. Like, no one was rubbing it in my face. They were instead offering me condolences, which,
Mhm.
again, somehow felt worse.
Right, right. Well, at least you still have a team that you can root for this weekend. Go blue. And now, without further ado, this is where I hand off this episode to our friend, our colleague, our man, Sam Klein, who was back on the show as he is every year to do the stats game. But also, Sam, welcome back home. You have a nice little setup here that's nice and cushy for us. But welcome back, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me as always, and great to be back. I I don't know, Scott. My experience, I had, everyone, all of you and all the listeners, I'm sure, have had various experiences with the, non-Duke fan population over the last week. I had I like walked by a neighbor the other day and she was like, "Oh, how, it must be so exciting. How's Duke doing in the tournament?" And I was like, they lost in crushing fashion yesterday. She's like, "Oh, well, Jason, get out of the document."
I'm not allowed to look at it.
No. No, get out.
I just opened it. I'm sorry.
I
Okay.
have the stats game document open and looking at all the notes, but part of the joy here is that we keep it a surprise. So Jason, get out of here.
No problem. No problem. I
No
apologize
peeking.
for infringing.
No peeking. So the neighbor asked me, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Duke suffered this crushing defeat, so I'm pretty bummed about it." This was probably on Monday or Tuesday, and she was like, "Oh, okay." Like, had no way to respond to that, and she just sort of walked away.
So I
Yeah.
will say I had experiences on sort of both ends of the spectrum. There's a couple people at UConn, in my orbit that are Duke grads, some of whom are, students or grad students. And I saw some of their just, dejection, and sort of right as I was feeling better, I saw it through their eyes, who, had been Duke fans, past 2015 and haven't experienced what we've experienced. And I was like, oh crap, these last 2 years, as much as it sucks for us, have to suck even more for you. And then weirdly, and this is going to sound wrong, but just bear with me for a sec. I have students at UConn who are good, young men and women who were so freaking happy this week. And of course, I am not happy as well for them. But I weirdly saw both sides of the coin of sports, and the reality that every time there's an event that is so crushing that hurts some group of people, there's another group of people who are over the moon and excited. And of course, you want to be them, you want to be the happy people. But it was a weird sort of perspective moment of, oh, this is sports, the good and the bad. And sometimes you got to take the good with the bad, because every time you're suffering, someone's happy. Every time you're happy, someone is suffering. And in the grand scheme of things, both have to happen in order for you to get the whole emotional experience of being invested in a sports team. So it was a bizarre week for me, going back and forth between those two, but weirdly sort of helped me get out of my post-season mourning a little bit faster than, 25-year-old, 20-year-old Scott would have.
Well, I will tell you there's a colleague that I work with, not someone that I'm like really close to at CNN, but someone that I've known over the years who is a huge Kentucky fan. And on, I think it was on Wednesday, maybe Wednesday or Thursday this past week, I ran into him. You know, we don't see each other on a daily basis. And he literally comes up to me. He looked at me for a second and he goes, "Now you know how I felt." And he's talking about 1992. He's talking about the Christian Laettner shot. Oh, sorry, 1992.
Yeah,
Yes.
1992.
Yeah. Sorry.
You were there, weren't you?
I was. I'm
Were
trying
you
to
there?
recall if it was 91, 92.
You never mentioned. Were you there, Jason?
Were you at the game? Did you have good seats?
But
No,
in any
actually,
event,
for that play, he didn't. So
But he's right. And Scott, that's a great point. You know, for all the joy that we get from a buzzer beater when we're on the right side of it, there is the other side of the coin.
look, I will say this. This was a bad week for me personally and professionally. I want to throw it in the trash, but I hope that, Sam, that you could give me some joy to start the weekend with the stats game.
Well, let's see what happens here. So to recap, if you're new to DBR this season, or if you're returning and maybe you've forgotten how this works, at the beginning of the season, we do a season preview show where I present a bunch of statistical categories. Everybody makes guesses around them, and it's an excuse to talk about different aspects of the team going into the season. Out at the end of the season, we recap how the stats game went. I had to do some tabulating. Every year, I change up the categories a little bit and figure out which ones are the hardest ones to go back and look at after the season is over. I tried using Claude to help me do some of these recaps today, and it was not helpful because I'm counting, for example, times that certain guys have won ACC Player of the Week, and that's great. But that all if they get if the thing gets the answer wrong by 2, then it makes a meaningful difference. Or if it doesn't count the things correctly. So so I have to count up everything. I did that this morning. We also, as of 2 years ago, now have a trophy that travels around that was given to us by DBR superfan, DBR founder Mike Emmerich. So we always have to shout out him and thank him for the trophy. So I will now be going back through the categories, telling you all what you picked and telling you who picked the right answers. So
Sam, let's remind everyone who has won this the most and who is currently holding the trophy.
And that would be Jason Evans. Jason, I know the people can't see it, but you've got the trophy. So and maybe you'll have to send it out at the end of this. Maybe you won't. You're going to find out very soon. All right, let's get right into it. Your reactions welcome as we go through. So the first category is always the first category. It's the who's going to lead the team in points per game. And in the event of a tie in some of these categories, we ask you to pick who or how many points that will be. So we all picked Cam Boozer at the beginning of the season to lead the team in points. We were right. How smart are we? Cam averaged 22.5 points per game. Jason, all of us under predicted, but Jason got the closest because he had the highest number, which was 21.8. So Jason gets a point for correctly predicting that Cam Boozer would score a lot of points. I think I didn't go back and look at this morning. I think this is the most of any of the freshmen in the Duke crazy freshman era, 22.5. Because Jason, I think you had talked about this at the beginning of the season that he was going to fall. You were comparing him to different guys in the historical record. I don't think anyone has averaged 22.5.
I thought RJ Barrett and Zion both did.
They both averaged over 22.5.
We can look and see.
We can look as we keep going, but I thought
I can't believe we didn't make the Final Four that year either. That is crazy.
I feel like I used Marvin Bagley as a comp to Cam
reference point.
Yeah, for a lot of my picks. So yeah,
RJ was 22.6.
Wow. Oh, incredible. Well, anyway, that's that. Cam Boozer's going to have I think he's going to have a great NBA career. So I wish him all the best in that. Second category, rebounds per game. We also all predicted that Cam Boozer would lead the team in rebounds. He did, in fact, lead the team in rebounds. We then had a spread of being around the number. So Donald got the closest. Cam averaged 10.2 rebounds per game. Donald guessed 10.8. The next closest was Jason at 11. Scott guessed 9, and I guessed 8.1. So shows you what I know. Blocks per game. I had that Cam Boozer would lead the team. The rest of you guys guessed that Pat Gongba would lead the team in blocks. Scott, welcome to the DBR Podcast Stats Game and your first category victory. And guess what? You nailed the number exactly. Pat Gungba averaged 1.1 blocks per game.
So that's worth 10 bonus points, right?
That's right. It's worth 10 bonus points. So congratulations to you for getting that one. Don't be too proud of yourself because my performance on the next one is actually more impressive because I nailed that Cam Boozer was going to lead the team in assists per game. I did tie with Scott and Jason on that front, but I had the number exact on this one, which was 4.1 assists per game. And so that is a tougher number to predict. So I'm going to give myself.
What did we pick on that one?
Jason, you had 3.9 and Scott had 3.5. So everyone was close to the number. Donald, unfortunately, had Caden Boozer as his.
I had Caden. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And in hindsight, at the beginning of the season, we have another category here where we'll be talking about Cam Boozer and his statistical prowess, or actually a few categories. But it's amazing going into the season that we were like, oh yeah, Cam Boozer's leading we have 2 point guards on the team. We don't know. I think at the beginning of the season, we said, we know that Duke has multiple ball handlers, but the guy who's the power forward is probably just going to lead the team in assists because that is the impact he's going to make. And I'd say that by and large, that came true. Our fifth of the per game stats is the steals per game. We had a mix of responses to this one. This was, I guess, slightly more fun. So I guess Caleb Foster, Donald and Scott both had Malik Brown, and Jason had Dame Sarr. Did you know that Malik Brown led the team in steals this year, even though he was not a primary starter? And Scott is going to get the point for this because he guessed 1.8, or he guessed 1.6. The number was 1.8, and Donald had 2.2. So you guys were
very close. Very close.
Here. I think that obviously Malik Brown won ACC Defensive Player of the Year,
and National Defensive Player of the Year, won the Lefty Drysdale Award.
So that's great, and we're going.
This just in, Malik plays good defense.
Jason, can you tell me why Malik Brown is not an NBA prospect?
I don't know that he's not an NBA prospect. I think he's probably not going to get drafted. Maybe late in the second round, but yeah, I think an NBA team will be interested in having a defensive stopper like that. I bet he gets an NBA paycheck at some point in his career.
He'll get it. I think he gets. I put money on him getting a 2-way contract for sure.
Yeah.
Thank Ben Wallace for that. You can be undrafted and become a defensive star in the NBA.
Yeah, that feels so, I don't know, possible. I don't know anything about how NBA teams evaluate talent.
Well, wait. I should note that Donald Trump has just signed an executive order which grants 5 years of eligibility to anyone over the course of 5 total years of playing basketball. And so Malik Brown, according to Donald Trump, has another year of eligibility. Welcome back, Malik.
Wait, is that an April Fool's thing?
No, I mean he did.
It was not.
It's not enforceable, but he said
Correct.
the things. He said things like he says lots of things.
I have so much to say on this topic that I feel like is inappropriate. So I'm just gonna.
We'll save that for the Patreon.
DBR After Dark.
DBR After Dark. If you want my takes on that, I don't know that they're spicy. I think they agree with a lot of other people. But anyway, moving on. The next category was highest field goal percentage. This is not 2-point field goal percentage. This is overall field goal percentage. So every year when we talk about this, we say, how do you think about, guys taking 3-pointers or not taking 3-pointers? So Scott was the only one who guessed that Malik Brown would lead the team in overall field goal percentage. Donald, Jason, and I all guessed that Pat Gungba was gonna do this, but we also knew going into the season that Pat Gungba was gonna try to take some 3-pointers, and we're gonna talk about those later. But it was Malik Brown. He averaged 62.9% on the season. Gungba averaged just over 60 at 60.6. So Scott is going to get that point.
I've heard Scott's name quite a bit. This might be going to stores.
New guy luck.
We move on to highest 3-point field goal percentage. This one, I think overall is a bit of a bummer because, at least for me, and I think for everyone involved, that Isaiah Evans did not have the pop-off season from Beyond the Arc that we expected.
Well, his volume was so high that it was just going to be really hard for him to put up a 40+ number.
So he struggled in this regard. But I'd like to I'd like to at least say that I did better than Jason and Scott in this category. Or sorry, I did better than Jason and Donald in this category. Jason had Dame Sarr and Donald had Darren Harris, neither of whom was even close to the real number here. But it was Caleb Foster, which is who Scott picked. So he came in just shy of 40%, 39.8 from the field. I haven't listened to your most recent episode. I'm sure that the discussion about what are Caleb Foster and various other potential point guards on this team going to do a big part of the conversation. But for this season, Caleb Foster, pretty good performer from beyond the arc. So good for him. Next category. This one I love. How many players are going to lead Duke in scoring in a game? It's one of the most annoying to tabulate because on the ESPN, it'll give you one name, but you can't be sure that there aren't multiple guys. So I do have to go through all the game logs to check this one. So I did that this morning. There were 4 guys who led the team in scoring this season. Just 4. Both Donald and Jason guessed that, so they're going to get the point. But I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say Donald, because I'm just going to go around and pick. Who led the team in scoring this season? 4 guys.
Cam Boozer, Isaiah Evans.
Yeah, those are the easy ones.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Thank you.
Caden Boozer,
And
Pat Gongba.
That's what
right,
those
got
are the
3 out
4
of-
I would have guessed.
you got 3 out of 4. Caden Boozer never led the team in scoring this season.
Oh,
All
did
of his-
Seafoss did it against Louisville?
Nope. Caleb Foster also never led the team in scoring this
Is it
season.
Dame?
Is it Darren Harris against Army?
No, Dame Sarr led the team in scoring once this season.
Yeah, it was Dame.
So he barely, if he hadn't done it the one, and I think it was early in the year. I can't remember if I wrote this one down. I think it was early in the season, and so if that hadn't happened, it would have been only 3 guys. Caleb Foster, who we're going to come back to in his category, never led the team in scoring this season. Obviously, missed some time with injury, but that to me that's a surprising one. Okay. How many unique starting lineups was Duke going to deploy this season? And I did, as I went back through this, double check against which of those were injury related and which were not injury related. So I'm going to give you the summary of that in both directions. So Duke deployed 6 different starting lineups this season. I'm going to tell you that one of those starting lineups was a direct result of injuries. The rest of them were not. Donald had guessed 5. I'm going to give him the point. Jason had 7. If we were splitting hairs around the injury thing, then I would give Jason a point, but I can't do that. We talk about how this shouldn't be injury related. What I am going to tell you is an interesting thing. So you can tell me, the starting lineup.
Why does Donald get the point? If it was 6 and he gets 5 and I got 7, why does he get the point?
Because it was 6 if you include the injury-related ones. It's 5 if you don't include the injury-related ones. So I'm going to remove 1 from the total, and so the non-directly injury-related is 5. So that's going to go to Donald.
Wait, how are you saying there's only 1 injury? Oh, I guess because.
Yeah.
The game where
this doesn't compute because
so the starting lineup for the entire postseason run was affected by first Gungba being out, and then actually by both Gungba and Foster being out starting at the beginning of the ACC tournament. The starting lineup for the entire postseason was Cam Boozer, Isaiah Evans. They both started every game this season. Caden Boozer, Malik Brown, and Dame Sarr. Those 5 never started together during the season until both Foster and Gungba were out. And in fact, and when you look at those combos, Malik Brown and Caden Boozer never started together. Caden Boozer did get a handful of starts in January. You guys may remember. First, it was Sarr going to the bench. Sarr started the season. He went to the bench in favor of Hemenia. Hemenia started 4 games around in December. And then John Shire decided no more Hemenia now. Caden Boozer is in. And then Dame Sarr came back after a few games of that. And then he started the rest of the season with no exceptions. So
wait, wasn't there a unique starting lineup for the second Carolina game?
So the second Carolina game, we went back. we went back to the normal starting lineup in that game, but Pat was
No,
limited.
Malik started instead of Pat.
Oh, sorry, in the second game. Yes. Excuse me. The starting lineup in the second Carolina game was Boozer and Evans with Foster, Brown, and Sarr. That lineup had started together one other time during the season when there were no injuries against SMU.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and you know, there was an injury in that game because Gungba didn't play. There were games where some of these guys were limited. I'd say overall, even accounting for the injuries, this was one of the most diverse starting lineup years that you could imagine.
Last year was 2, so
yeah. Lots of tinkering by John Shire this year. Even though there was one lineup that had the majority of the starts this year, it ultimately made the most sense for this team. There was still a little bit of experimentation. So Donald's going to get the point there. All right, here's one of the dumb ones that I added in last minute. How many triple doubles is Cam Boozer going to have? The answer was 0. He didn't even come close. He had 9 assists once, but yeah, this was tough. And in that game where he had 9 assists, he only had 5 rebounds. So I can't even pretend that Cam Boozer came close to this. Jason gets the point because he correctly brought us back to earth and predicted that there would be 0. However, I am going to say that in the spirit of the question, I was still excited about Cam Boozer's potential to make an impact all over the court, and I would say that he did that. The next one we asked was, how many times is Nick Hemenia going to start this season? There are multiple categories here where we admitted that we didn't really know what the wing rotation was going to look like. This was one of those categories. Do any of you know? So I alluded to it earlier. Nick Hemenia started 5 games this season for Duke. Do you know what the lowest number was that any of us guessed in this category?
Like 7 or 8.
Scott
4?
Looks like he wants to make a guess.
I mean, I know I guessed something like 30. So throughout the year, I was just like, that's going to come back and look real bad.
Yeah, you guessed 25. That was the biggest number. Jason wins this category because he guessed 18, but I almost don't want to give it to him because in the spirit of the category, he's still getting it. He's still getting it. In the spirit of the category, no one should be getting points for this. Another embarrassing one for me. How many times is Caleb Foster going to lead the team in scoring this season? I already told you it was none. Both Donald and Jason are getting a point for that. And I thought it was going to happen 3 times. Didn't even happen once. So that's a bummer. I'm going to do one more category, and then we're gonna take a quick break. The next category we had what was Isaiah Evans' 3-point field goal percentage going to be this season? Jason already told you earlier that he was going to have a tougher year this year because he was the primary 3-point shooter for this team. Jason was right on that account, but he did not guess the lowest number. Donald did. So Donald had 38.5. Jason had 41. The real number was all the way down at 36.1% for Isaiah Evans. Still a very productive season, but not quite the sharpshooting year that we anticipated for him. Guys,
look, if you got a guy who's going to shoot 8+ 3-pointers a game and he hits, 36+%, I think that any team will tell you from a metric standpoint, you'll take it.
Of course, but here we are. So anyway, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back to finish out the stats game.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, is built for March. The tournament is unexpected. Rewards are guaranteed. DraftKings Sportsbook is delivering the most generous rewards on the market.
Yeah, with DraftKings, the #1 sportsbook for live betting, you're not betting on what might happen, you're betting what's happening. Are you new to DraftKings? Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code DukeBB. That's code DukeBB to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right, Duke fans, do you have hunger pains? Are you snacking all the time? For me, eating healthy, it isn't a willpower problem, it's a setup problem. Until I found Factor. With Factor, I'm hitting my nutrition goals this season without the planning or the grocery runs.
Yeah, Jason, Factor has meals built around your goals, whether that's weight loss, original nutrition, more protein, or GLP-1 support. For strength and workout recovery, check out Factor's Muscle Pro collection. And every meal is crafted with functional ingredients, lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole foods, and healthy fats. No artificial colors or sweeteners, no high fructose corn syrup, no refined seed oils, just nutrient-dense food.
Head to factormeals.com/DukeBB50 off. Again, use that code DukeBB50 off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with a new subscription only while supplies last until September 27th of this year. See the Factor website for more details.
Welcome back. We are continuing with the stats game. I am still Sam Klein. Okay, next category. Who is going to lead among this group in total starts? Caden Boozer, Malik Brown, Dame Sarr, or Darren Harris? So I think it ended up being...
Wait, we need context that we were all thinking Nick Jimenez was going to start a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Right. As previously noted, we all thought Nick Jimenez was going to start 20 games this season. So, this is where we're at with this one. This ends up not being an interesting category because Dame Sarr among that group clearly ran away with it. He was a primary starter for Duke this season, minus a period there, in December and January when Shire was doing a little mixing and matching with the starting lineup. But Sarr started 30 out of 35 games for Duke. So Jason's going to take the category because he guessed Dame Sarr. None of us guessed Darren Harris, so we don't have to avoid that embarrassment. Caden Boozer started 11 games and Malik Brown started 10. So Donald had Caden and Scott and I had Malik Brown. None of those are bad picks, but they weren't the right pick, which was Dame Sarr.
I think I've hit like 4 categories in a row here.
Nearly.
I had built a little lead and it has just gone away over 4 categories.
I'm just here.
I'm enjoying the live reactions to the counting. I try to do this quickly so that you guys can't exactly keep up. But clearly
I'm not tallying, but I feel like Scott was running away with it, and it's gotten a lot closer.
He's really fallen off. How many? This was a great category. How many 3-pointers was Patrick Gungva going to make this season?
Oh, I lost this one. I definitely lost this one.
Yeah, Jason, you did the worst on this. You should get a -1 for this. You guessed 25. The real number was 8. Guess what? Donald Wine nailed the number. 8 3-pointers by Patrick Gungva. I said 4. Scott had 15. So still on the high side. But yeah, Patrick Gungva was not the sharpshooter that we were
he
led
took
to
a
believe
pretty
that
fair
he might.
number. I mean, he clearly hits them in practice. He wouldn't be shooting that much if he didn't hit him in practice.
He was 8 for 31 for the season, so he almost averaged one attempt per game, which still puts him over the limit for us. How many times is a Duke player going to win ACC Player of the Week?
Wow!
All of these awards went to Cam Boozer. He only won. Do you guys know how many times Cam Boozer won ACC Player of the Week?
Probably like
8,
7 or 8.
Only 5. There was a
Player of the Week. Yes, yeah,
Player of the Week, Rookie of the Week. He won 10 times.
Right.
Both of those numbers, I know, in hindsight, feel low. And also, surprisingly, most of those victories, at least on the Player of the Week side, came early in the season during non-conference play, as opposed to during conference play. So Cam Boozer won this award 5 times. He's the only one that did that. Jason nailed that number. He had 5. Scott had 6. I had 7, and Donald had 8. So we were all in the right ballpark. I should have guessed. I should have asked you to guess if anyone other than Cam Boozer was going to win this award. Maybe Isaiah.
I wonder if
Evans
one of us would have taken a
had
flyer
a
on Isaiah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or Nick Amenia.
Well, if you remember, the first rookie of the week last year was Con Knipple. And we're like, oh no, we've done wrong. Con Knipple's this guy now. It was the first one of the season, and then Cooper won the rest of them. So,
and then it turns out Con Knipple was still the man.
Still the man.
He just didn't win the awards. So
right.
All right. The next category, I can't. I'm surprised that the guesses were what they were, because this is Donald's category. Donald's category. How many times is Duke going to score 100 points in a game? But Donald did not guess the biggest number this year. Jason Evans guessed the biggest number. He guessed 3. The real number was 4. Duke scored 100 points 4 times this season. Twice in non-conference play and twice in conference. Once on the road at Notre Dame. 4 times Duke scored 100 points this season. So Jason gets a point for that. That is some incredible stuff.
Thank you. Yes.
So let's just keep in mind for next year that great things are possible in Donald's favorite category.
10 times. Going 10 times next year again.
Total points by the walk-ons, which I'm just going to confirm was Jack Scott and Cam Sheffield for this season.
Yeah.
And if he played a couple of games in the first part.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't score.
If we're counting, the outcome of the category doesn't change as far as who gets the point, but it does raise the number of points scored, because if they had
I think we should count if he should be considered.
Then that's fine. The walk-ons scored either 20 or 21 points, depending on if he scored 4 or 5. I glanced at it and then I ignored it. It doesn't matter, because even just between Sheffield and Scott, there were 16 points scored. I had the biggest number here, which was 14, was my guess. Everyone else was below me. So good job by the walk-ons contributing in those, 100-point blowouts.
We need to really think about that category moving forward, because technically, I don't think those guys are. I mean, all those guys have full college scholarships from other teams and full college scholarships from Duke. That's different than a completely unrecruited walk-on, the way we used to treat this. But we don't have any of those guys anymore, because there's so many guys out there who are like, oh yeah, can I come get a grad degree at Duke?
So we'll adjust this category next year. Maybe I'll consult with you guys before I actually put the list together, which is usually not my process. All right. Next question, how many guys are in the rotation? We asked how many players would log over 300 minutes. No points are being awarded for this. We all guessed that there would be 9 players, and there were, in fact, 9 players who logged over 300 minutes. The guys we've been talking about, and Darren Harris. So not a particularly interesting one this year. Duke didn't really have to dig into the players we were just talking about on the bench. I
forget, does anyone recall when we did the stats game, did we know for sure that Sebastian Wilkins was going to redshirt?
No, because it was announced after the season started.
Correct.
Okay.
So that would.
So hey, give us a little credit for that. So there were 10 fully recruited players. So going 9, I guess we're all smart.
So we said that. Good for us.
We all win.
Duke's defensive rank at the selection show, according to Ken Pomeroy, Duke's performance was better than everyone guessed. Donald's going to win the category because he guessed that Duke would be 3rd overall in defensive efficiency, according to Ken Pom on the day of the selection show.
They were
Duke
number
was
1.
Number 2. No, they were number 2 at the day of the selection show.
Yep.
They may be number 1 now, but they were number 2 on that Monday, the 15th of March or whatever. So I double checked that this morning. Hat tip to archive.org for enabling me to do that research. Duke was number 2 in the country at that point. Duke's defense, of course, this year was outstanding, start to finish. So good job by them. Didn't result in a Final Four run. The offense, by the way, at the selection show was number 4 in the country. So I know we've hammered the Ken Pom rankings to death this season and how historically great Duke was, and yet here we are on April 4th doing the stats game. So anyway, moving on. I see a lot of dejected faces. I really have no way to talk us out of that one. How many games is Duke going to win on the road this season? There were 11 games that Duke played on the road this season. They won 10 of them. The only one is one of those losses we just don't want to talk about. So Donald and
Shall
Jason
go
are both
unnamed. The loss that shall go unnamed.
Donald and Jason are both going to get a point for this because they guessed 9. Scott and I both guessed 8. So there you have that.
Can I just say
10-5-5
8 would have been
games.
8 would have been a great season. We forget
Absolutely.
how great the season was.
One road
Hey,
loss is insane, given the fact that we played at Breslin too.
Yeah.
35-3 this season. I mean, pretty amazing. But not where we want. Still somehow not where we wanted it to be. Another one of my favorite categories: 10-5-5 games. This is one we've been doing for a few years. The Wendell Moore, not memorial, the Wendell Moore honorary award. So there were 20 of these games this season. That is exactly the number that Donald guessed.
That's a huge number. That's a really impressive, Donald. That is really good.
So I've got I tabulated all of these this morning. Cam Boozer obviously has the most. Can you tell me the other guys? Tell me the other guys who had 10-5-5 games this year.
Malik Brown,
there were
Caden Boozer.
Yes.
Malik Brown,
yes,
Caden Boozer, Dame Sarr.
Dame Sarr did not have one. What was Scott? What was your guess? Pat had one.
Did Caleb not have one?
Caleb did not have a 10-5-5 game. He had a few games where he had the requisite number of assists, but never got the rebounds or the steals. So,
or the points. Actually, in Caleb's case, probably didn't get the points.
There was. I had this note and then I just lost track of it. There was one where I think he had a 5-5-5, but I
remember that. Yes, yeah.
So Cam Boozer had one such game where he did it with steals rather than assists, which is pretty cool. Pat Gungba had the only game that was 10-5-5-5. He did it with assists and blocks. Malik Brown also had one the last game of the regular season against North Carolina. Malik
with
Brown
steals.
had one of these with steals. So pretty cool. Caden Boozer had two such games, one early in the season and then one in the loss to UConn. So and Cam Boozer had a ton of these. I didn't go back and see who's got the modern day stats game era Duke record for 10-5-5 games. But
wait, who
Cam
got the
Boozer
point here?
I did. I guessed it exactly.
He
That's
nailed
right,
the
that's
number
right. Yeah,
exactly. So that was pretty impressive. Okay, total wins this season. We all guessed between 33 and 34. We were all low. The real number was 35. Donald and Scott are both going to get the point for total wins this season. Forget the postseason thing for a second. It's crazy that we all just guess like, oh yeah, Duke's going to have mid-30s wins, and it just happens.
Well,
and we were low.
We calculated that based off of assuming we'd be playing 2 more games than we did. So we all massively underestimated this team's regular season success.
It was and with a hard schedule. So
arguably the hardest schedule we've seen from a Duke team maybe ever.
Well, having a bad ACC doesn't help, or not a bad ACC.
Sorry, hardest
mediocre ACC.
Yeah.
It was much improved though.
In case you can't tell, I'm if you were wondering going into this game, since you don't get my takes all the time about whether I'm in the camp of supporting John Shire or questioning his coaching ability given these late season collapses, I am firmly in the pro John Shire camp here. So I think that he's doing a great job, and I look forward to him fixing whatever it is goes on in these late game situations that has caused the team to seize up in the last couple of years. Something tells me that he and Coach K are going to have a few talks about it, and they are going to figure it out. How many teams, speaking of the ACC, how many teams from the ACC were going to make the NCAA tournament? I don't know if happily, because I do hate the rest of the ACC, but I can report in favor of the ACC that the ACC had more teams in the tournament than any of us predicted. The real number was 7. Jason and Donald both guessed 6. So hats off to the ACC for a much more productive season on the basketball court. Guys, any comments about the ACC before I move on?
Wait, I'm sorry. It doesn't change the point, but didn't they get 8 teams from the ACC?
Yeah, I thought it was 8,
including us. Did you include us?
I did. Did I get this wrong? It's
I
very
mean,
possible.
I don't think it changes the point, but I'm pretty
It
sure
doesn't
was
change the
8.
point. But
Yeah.
I want the data to be right.
I think maybe you
I think
forgot
it was-
SMU's in the ACC.
Well, I was
They only
looking,
made the play-in, but that's making the tournament.
I want
NC State lost in the play-in.
You know how I checked this
And so
was
did
on
SMU.
KenPom. I went to the KenPom ACC page and it has the seed lines on it, and I wonder if I just missed that count. Anyway, it wasn't that I forgot that SMU's in the ACC, because of course I forget that SMU's in the ACC, but I thought that KenPom would have gotten that. So I'm gonna sort of blame myself, but probably blame Ken Pomeroy for that. So next time he's on the show, we'll chide him for my mistakes. All right, the last official category. How many transfers are going to be announced out of Duke in the week after the season ends? We haven't had any yet, so I'm counting this as 0. The season, we're technically only a week out from the season as of tomorrow night, so we could go back and edit this. It's not actually going to change the outcome of the game. So Donald and I are both getting a point for this one. Or sorry, excuse me. Donald and I are both losing or not getting a point. Jason and Scott are both getting a point for this because they guessed none, and Donald and I guessed that there would be 1. It's a morbid category, but it's a category nonetheless.
And I will say that this was done at the beginning of the season. If you recall, during the season, they changed the portal window to start on Tuesday. So
Yes.
that's why you're not seeing a lot of people enter the portal until like this weekend.
Although guys are still announcing that they're leaving.
They're announcing their intention to enter.
Their intention to leave, which is
correct.
Which we
Same.
would accept.
That's the same. It's functionally the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a tough category for us going forward in the future because it's just the even the decisions are made. They typically don't get announced for a little while longer. Like Duke, they won't get announced till after the banquet, or after these guys have had full meetings with John.
They
Shire
probably won't
and
have a
such.
banquet.
Yeah,
They didn't
right,
have one
that's true.
last year.
Yeah. But in any event, I think that we may need to consider this one as we move
We'll
forward.
change it.
I'm not sure it works,
We'll change.
but I'll take the point.
Okay. There you go. We won't need to get into our bonus category because I'll tell you who won in a second. But the bonus category was, what's Bill Belichick's last day as UNC head coach going to be? And I said that if this ends up changing the outcome of the game, we would we'd mail the trophy after the fact. I should have made this category who's going to last longer, Bill Belichick or Hubert Davis. But when we did this game in October, I don't think any of us knew that or had an inkling that Hubert Davis was going to get fired after this season. So
He had just signed an extension that they didn't report about until December.
as bad as our season ended, I don't know about you guys. Actually, I do know about you guys. I feel like you'd rather be a Duke fan with all the stuff that's going on in our program versus being a UNC fan. So
Are you kidding? Yes.
Count your blessings, people. At least they're not going through this whole coaching nonsense plus Dean Dome nonsense all at the same time. Duke has none of that going on across its major programs right now. So being a Duke fan is still pretty good on the whole. And I don't need to harp on that whole thing. I don't know. Did you guys talk about yesterday the breaking news about Tommy Lloyd?
We did not. It came in after we were done.
So hey, Tommy Lloyd's not going to be the UNC head coach, so that's great.
There are a lot of folks
Doesn't
out
sound
there
like
who
Dustin
say-
Mayer. Don't like Dustin
people saying
Mayer
it's
or
gonna-
Billy Donovan either.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's going to be Mark Byington of Vanderbilt. That seems to be the popular pick at the moment. That he's like
he just signed an extension at Vanderbilt,
And he has a big buyout, I believe.
He has a $10 million buyout.
I mean, they've now. I don't want to say they've gotten a no, but they sort of got a no, thank you, kind of from at least 4 different guys. It looks like
It's called desperation.
We won't dance on their grave, but we will dance on their pity party. So
that works.
Anyway,
Side note, if it's Mark Byington, does Tyler Nickel come with him back to UNC?
I think he's out of eligibility, but that would be funny.
Damn.
I was gonna wonder what the relationship is between Tommy Lloyd and Henry Vessar in the event that Tommy Lloyd came over, because I don't think I think they left on bad terms.
Yeah,
Correct.
that was I'm not sure
Is
that
Henry
was.
Vesar on good terms with anybody? Just
Unclear.
based off of his general demeanor and playing style.
I
Not
like
for me to concern myself with.
This could be a Tommy Lloyd problem because did you see the detail about the Tommy Lloyd extension that he no
doesn't
longer
report
reports
to the
athletic
AD.
director?
Tommy Lloyd
I
and
am
the
not.
AD do not get along.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
kind of
not.
an amazing. I bet there isn't another single coach in the country who has in his contract that he does not report to the athletic director.
How does
That's
that
like,
work?
wow.
Does it mean he literally cannot be fired, or like it has to come
Well,
from the
no, he reports
college
to the
president?
university. He reports
Yeah.
to the university president.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the Arizona athletic department, and there's the Arizona men's basketball team,
Correct.
and those are separate entities.
Separate things
As
now.
far as the reporting structure goes, they obviously share some resources. So,
Which honestly is probably where college sports is going. At some point in the not too distant future, it's going to be basketball and football and the rest of the athletic department.
well,
So
and for
maybe
many
they're ahead of
years,
the curve.
it's not like men's basketball coaches and football coaches haven't been making lots and lots more money than not just the athletic directors, but the university presidents, at least at these top schools, for a long time. So the thing has always been a little on its head.
The University of North Carolina head basketball coach has been the highest paid employee of the state of North Carolina for many, many, many years. Although not this past year, because Bill Belichick, the head football coach, surpassed the basketball coach.
Yeah, I was going to say that you can look, if you look on that map that says who the highest paid employee is, you can tell which state schools are the football schools and which ones are the basketball schools.
Up until recently, Kevin Ollie, the long fired UConn basketball coach, was still the highest paid employee.
Still the
in
highest
state of
paid employee.
Connecticut, until Danny Hurley got his "you just won 2 national titles" raise.
So, all right, I'm going to summarize the game for you. Maybe you know who won, but maybe you don't. There weren't any strong reactions. So I came in last place this year. I think this is the second year in a row I've come in last place, at least. I only got 2 points, which is a huge bummer. Maybe I should pay more attention to this when I am setting the damn thing up. Scott, welcome to the DBR stats game. You got 6 points in your inaugural season. You beat me, so that's pretty good.
I started strong and then faded horribly.
You faded really quick. Yeah, you got 4 of the first 7 points, and then you only got 2 more throughout the rest of the 25 categories. So Donald and Jason, you guys tend to go back and forth on this one. The back and forth will continue this year. Donald, congratulations. You are the
Yes, let's go.
Stats game champion.
Wait, he beat me?
12 points to Jason's 10. So it was close, but yeah. I'm sorry to report to you, Jason.
Damn, I got to send that big old trophy in the mail now. Ugh.
Yeah.
Donald, any words of wisdom for the people on all your great predictions?
Listen to me. That's all I have. Sometimes I'm right, and I'll always say this: when I'm right, I'm right, and when I'm wrong, I could have been right. So I'm right because I could have been wrong. I'm the champ.
I don't even understand that.
Every time you say that, I try to parse it out, and I never get a response.
Look, as far as people named Donald who say things about being right. Never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Never mind. I thought we were not.
I retract that statement. Okay, guys, thank you for having me back. I hope that everyone's doing okay. And I'm sorry that college basketball season ended a week early. That sucks. But we'll be back again before you know it.
And the stats game will continue. So
And the stats game will
Scott,
continue.
yeah, Scott, thank you. Sam, great to see you. Hope to have you back on very, very soon. Jason and I, of course, will be back to recap everything that happens over the coming weeks, especially with the roster construction, who declares, who leaves, who stays, all of that. We will bring all that to you. Maybe trying to get a couple guests now that college basketball's over and everyone has nothing to do, at least until the World Cup, at least for me. But until then, he's Jason, he's Scott, he's Sam, I'm Donald. This is the Duke Band playing us out and sending the trophy to me.
I think I've got to object to this tie. Each person gets 1 point. It should be half a point each. Who's making these rules?
Me.
Sam
I made
is.
all the rules.
Sam is.
I made this up. I made all the rules up. I can give you at the end. I can give you what the scores would have been if we did half points. Let me come back.
We might have been drinking together when this idea came up years ago.
It's possible. It's possible. I don't remember.
Rules of Calvin Ball. The score is into 12.
Exactly.
I'm rewatching The Good Place. I'm just thinking this is Jason Mendoza's Jacksonville Pool. 500 points.
Yeah, exactly. The rules for this game are Jeremy Bearimy.
Yeah.
Yeah.